Today's guest is a man whose passion is to find a perfect land in the backcountry. He's a lifestyle freerider and a filmmaker. He has made a documentary that's been spread over 100 countries. 35 years of skiing. Jan-Erik Blomberg, welcome.
Thank you.
What I found is that you're truly a passionate skier. So what do you do now when it's summer?
Well, mostly skateboarding, traveling, climbing, and now the previous Olympic gold medalist in moguls, Jan-Erik, he took me under his wings, and I try to learn something new for next winter. Yeah, we go do some rollerblading on a foam pit.
Rollerblading on a foam pit?
Yeah, like you have a jump and then you land on a foam pit, so pretty safe. And yeah, we've only had one session so far, and after the first session I was away for 5 weeks, and now he's done something else he's a coach for the Finnish free ski team and the mogul team. So I go and train with the Finnish freestyle team. Now that I'm 42. And the youngsters there, from 15 to 20 something, so it keeps me young. And yeah, I still want to learn something.
Sounds good. So you think you're able to bring that to skiing?
Hopefully. For some years I wanted to do these modern style tricks, these doubles, like with twists and rotations. So I want to hopefully next winter I find a spot with a perfect powder landing, and then with a right ski company, or not a company, but like a ski friends, so that we build a jump and then have a session, and hopefully I'm able to do something new which I haven't done before.
That sounds great. 43 years, that's nothing, right?
Well, it's nothing, yeah.
So, but you're really a passionate skier, and so let's jump right to the skiing. And you started skiing when you were 7, right?
Yeah.
How did it all begin?
Well, my dad used to ski, and I don't know, maybe he thought that skiing is a good sport, and he bought me a pair of skis. I was 120 centimeters, the skis were 160, so a bit long skis. I started on my parents' backyard, skied around 3 apple trees, and that was it. That was skied down, hiked up, skied down, hiked up, and I thought straight away that I was a professional.
Okay, and it took some years, and you started then competing when you were 15.
Yeah, I think I was 15. Maybe 10 kilometers from my parents' house there is this small slope, which I call my home mountain. It's 75 meters the vertical, which is not much if you compare it to the Alps or Norway or whatever. But yeah, you get a lot of repetitions, and in the school, me and friends of mine, we started skiing moguls in that slope. So we practiced and figured out that it would be time to take part in competitions.
So you took part in the competitions. How long did it last? How many years did you compete?
Well, I think I competed more or less 10 years. And good years, bad years, but I never really enjoyed the competing itself. I enjoyed more the skiing, but not the competitions. I wasn't that not that competing kind of person, but still, because I didn't want to do bad. maybe that's the thing. I always wanted to be better than the rest, but there were better skiers, so I sort of I hated to be on that up there, knowing that I can't do as well as I want to.
What about the competitions then? It's many years back then. But do you remember? Were you nervous before
Yeah,
the
I was really
competitions?
nervous. Yeah, I was really nervous on the on the gate, or how do you call it? I was really nervous and I couldn't relax.
How did it happen? Did you keep yourself nervous during the moguls, the whole run, or did you find a way to face that fear and get over
I think it was more a struggle. And then, but and I think it was more having fun than having a real focus on skiing. The focus, it came to me after I finished competing in moguls. After that, I realized what I really want to do. That I wasn't that much, because you really need to have the focus on what you do to keep yourself active and want to progress. But it was just more of having fun and seeing world or that kind of stuff, not the competing itself. It was just a way to travel and to ski new places. And
I guess that sport was already a very competitive sport at the time.
During the years I raced, like the best skiers, mogul skiers that has ever come out from Finland, they were competing with me, or I was competing with them, and it's pretty tough. Like the Jan-Erik, who won everything, like gold medal, world championships, and World Cup, and he won everything. He was in the same men's league when I was there.
Okay, then you stopped competing. Like you said, it wasn't your cup of tea. Maybe it was fun as long as it lasted. But then you found your true passion. What was it? What happened after that competing?
Well, it was 98. We were in Switzerland doing autumn, like this week in Saas-Fee, or 2 weeks, and we built some. For a long time I wanted to build backcountry jumps, and it really snowed there. We had a big dump there, and this free skiing, this new type of skiing, or they called it new school skiing that time, that sort of was happening 98. So we built a jump, and previous spring we already made this not that competing thing, like event with just few friends, and started doing 360s with grabs, and wanted to evolve the sport more into snowboarding style. So 98 we were in Saas-Fee, and we built the first backcountry jumps and never turned back to mogul skiing. Well, I was still competing, but not as like I was more focused on doing something else, pipe skiing and park skiing, and I enjoyed more in that environment. It wasn't powder skiing or going into the mountain, but I think for me it was a natural like evolving from mogul skiing, which was really race based, to this more free thinking park riding and pipe skiing, which wasn't that competition based, what is like these days. And then from there I moved on to the mountains, and in between I had few big injuries which kept me away from skiing.
Like you said, now it's very competitive also. That used to be new school skiing, and now it's called freestyle skiing, I guess. And so it all has changed. A lot of money involved, Olympic Games. So you think it's turned out to be like it was back in the days when you were doing moguls?
Yeah, a lot of skiing has turned. When Olympics hit the sport, it changes. And that's why I think skateboarders, some of them really don't like that skateboarding is a part of Olympic Games next year, or when is it? and next time Olympics is gonna happen. But yeah, pipe skiing, it has become sort of one discipline that you really have to focus on pipe skiing, and then there is big air and what is it, that slope style, and there's not too many talents who can do every discipline. Like you have to focus on one, like when I was doing mogul skiing. Like when the new school skiing started, you could be a good in whatever.
What do you think? Has it split skiers? Like, I believe it happened in snowboarding that somebody were focused on the competition and the other ones are filming, making movies, and maybe, I'm not sure, but maybe sort of enjoying themselves as snowboarders more than. It's different, of course.
Yeah, it's different, but still, yeah, it's split. Some people, they enjoy competing and then they stick there, and then others, they enjoy filming, which is as much competing, because there are only few companies making movies. You can make your independent movie, but it's really hard to distribute these days or get money out of it. You can make movies, but you don't get money out of it. And then there are these individuals who do both. They pick few big competitions because they're just like that good, and then they go and make their own their webisodes or something like that, or they represent themselves in ski movies. But I think, well, I'm an old guy, so I don't watch too many ski movies anymore because most of them are really just too boring for me. I've watched so many ski movies and they just do the same thing from year to year, and it's not, ski movies are not as important what they used to be 10 years ago.
Back in the days, you were not so maniac. You were in the first wave of this new school, new freestyle skiing. How did it feel? Was it a small sort of a family, all together from different countries doing this new stuff?
Yeah, it was, well, I think it still is. If you go from Finland to Canada or wherever, the locals, they're really interested in what you do if they see that you really are focused on this one thing. They come and talk to you. It's like a big family still. If you're really sort of deeply involved with the sport. And I think the same thing is, if you know what you're doing, people really, they come and talk to you. But of course, it's a lot more. There are a lot more people who do the sport.
So you think it hasn't changed that much, even though it's a bigger sport and there's more money involved?
No, I don't think so.
You were talking about, and we were talking about filming and ski movies and stuff like that, and you've done a bunch of movies yourself and also a documentary, a couple of ones. How did that start?
Well, there wasn't any. No one made any ski documentaries in Finland. Me and my friends were doing some ski films, but then there wasn't any documentaries, or it's a series of documentaries. What we did, I used to do a TV program about skiing. It was new school skiing, park riding, then mountain skiing, interviews, sort of magazine style stuff. And but then as I grew, it changed the style of the TV show, and then I wanted to do it more documentary style with a couple of my friends. So we traveled around the world and met interesting people, skied in weird places, tried to find the best snow, tried to find something in some places. Like, it's an interesting thing that wherever you go where there is mountains and snow, people ski or they slide down this mountain. you don't necessarily have a common language or anything except the skiing, and through that you have a language that you can use.
Sounds very good. What do you think when you started making these documentaries and things like this, and you already said that making films is a sort of a competition, but that was maybe different then because you were almost the only guys doing it. So what do you think, you as a skier, did you grow as a skier when making these documentaries and when you were filming? Was it pushing you further as a skier?
Well, I like being filmed when skiing, and yesterday I was thinking, what is 110%? Because there is not 110%, because there's only 100%. And people always say, like, you give your 110%, but if you give all, then you give everything you have. And then when I'm being filmed, when I ski, I'm more focused because I really want to give everything I have to the camera. I take more risks. And I'm a lot more focused on what I do because I don't want to miss the shots.
So camera is a good motivator.
Yeah, it's a good motivator.
So during these past 35 years, you've been traveling all around the world. You're doing filming, you're doing competitions. No, not that. But have you ever counted how many countries you've been?
I've skied in maybe 30 countries.
Any very special place that you could mention about very sort of a weird skiing environment?
Well, our first really weird place was Canary Islands. It was an interesting trip. It's not allowed to ski. You're not allowed to ski on Mount Teide. Sometimes they get a lot of snow, but they have an ice cover on top of Mount Teide, and we smuggled our gear up there, and in the morning we hiked up to the top and skied this sheer ice. It was scary because some gravel rolls down the ice and it sticks to the ice and it melts around the rocks, and it makes these sun cups, which are razor sharp, like pointing upwards. So if you fall, you're gonna be minced meat.
But obviously it didn't fall because you are still here.
No, it wasn't like really fast skiing. It was surviving. And then from there we moved to Morocco, and that year we made like we skied in weird places.
Ever got in trouble because of doing that? Like you said, in Canary Islands, you were not allowed to ski.
Yeah, you were not. One is not allowed to ski there, but we just figured we're on top of ice. We're not harming the mountain, so. But the guys who worked there, they were just happy to see someone using it, like in that way, and I think it's not allowed. One thing why it's not allowed is because it's dangerous. If you fall first, you're gonna be like spliced with the ice, and then what's left of you, you're gonna hit the rocks, and the lava. It's really sharp.
Sounds really chill.
Yeah, it was nice. But the guys there were really happy, and they came to give high fives. And
so weird and crazy places. Is there now any place that you want to go over and over again? You want to go back?
There are many places, but last year I was really enjoying myself in Iceland. I've been there a few times before, but never found really good snow. But last winter, it was really good snow in Iceland, and I'm going back there next winter. I have some work there, and then northern part of Norway in Lyngen area, which is a 100-kilometer peninsula, next to Tromsø. They have some really great mountains there. And what's good is that there's no lifts, so you have to hike up. So you have to work for your turns, and that diminishes the amount of people in the mountain. So you get better snow and your own lines if you work for it.
How you call this when you climb up with your skis?
It's if you do multiple days, it's called randonnée. But I just think it's ski mountaineering. I suppose.
And the past years you've done it a lot, right?
Yep. Past years, my skiing has turned more and more into skiing with my own power. I don't use that much lifts anymore. 10 years ago, I was in Japan, and in 10 years, the amount of people skiing backcountry off-piste, it's like exploded, and you don't find these places where you can ski good lines with the lift anymore. So even though you have a lift, you have to hike somewhere, like to the side country or somewhere far away from the lifts. Like you get two good runs, and then everything is tracked out. So it's just so nerve-wracking trying to stay in that chaotic environment with all the other people who want their share of the snow. It's so much more relaxing to go a bit away from the crowds, and then you have the line, you can focus on it, and then there's no rush.
Compared to the using ski lifts, cabins, and now you're actually climbing up with your skis, you feel like you're more part of the nature, more part of the mountain?
Well, one can say that, but for me it's a good way to see if I climb up the same line I'm gonna ski down. I'll see, of course, on my way up, all the time I check the snow conditions, like how fast I can go, what are going to be the crux points or the places which might be difficult to ski, or if the snow changes on my way up, like, because I want to ski fast. If I hike up for 4 hours, I just don't want to come down. I really want to ski it the way I see it when I'm down, or I have an idea of this one couloir and I want to be there when it's good, not when it's just something else. For me, it's not that much fun, or there's no point hiking up for 4 hours, 5 hours, and then just come down. Sometimes you have to do it like that because weather can change. It's always, you're dependent on the weather, and snow conditions can change, sun can hit the face, but there comes the how do you say it, like, experience comes that you pick the phase so that in that particular time of the day you get the first sun on that couloir or something like that, so you don't go there when it's too hot. And
let's move a little bit back in the conversation. You mentioned already that there was some failures or injuries during your skiing career. So what happened in 2000?
Well, first I was competing in Sweden in Riksgränsen. It was practice. I just tried something new, and I dislocated my shoulder. Wow, I can tell you, it a bit painful. So I got back. Obviously, I wasn't able to ski anymore because it was so painful. And I got back from that trip. I was operated. It took half a year to recover, and then for some years I had a pain in my right knee, and it was practically the next ski day, even though it was half a year. Like in between, I was recovering my shoulder. I snapped my patellar ligament, so it took me out from the next season. So I was out for 1.5 years, or even more.
How was the recovery? Was it easy to get back on skis?
That was probably the most difficult time for me with my skiing, because I sort of lost I lost something. I wanted to ski, but I didn't find that fulfillment I used to have in skiing. So it didn't feel that important to me, or I wanted to practice, but I was afraid to get injured again, and maybe it's just that I was so afraid to get injured.
How did you overcome that fear?
Well, I went to practice. I was practicing on trampoline a lot that time. I went to the trampoline every morning, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, before I went to work. And I wasn't just having fun. I was just practicing, trying to find these new things. Well, I hadn't done anything fun for 1.5 years. so it was really hard to be on a trampoline. But luckily I had these 2 friends I met, like 10 years younger guys, who were really having fun on a trampoline, and I was going with them, and I knew that if they had that much fun, there has to be something I'm missing out. And with them I found that the things I was looking for. Like again, I was able to do things I didn't know I could, and I was just starting to enjoy being on a trampoline, and then like taking it out on my skis.
Nowadays there's a lot of different sports, and also a lot of sports since young age are very, very serious already. But now when you're talking, it feels like the fun is the thing that makes you going and makes you doing better tricks and finding better lines. And is that so?
It's a feeling of freedom. Like I'm free from my fears. I can do something like what I think I can. Previously, I think like I have this idea that I can do this, but then I'm not sure. But when I'm there, like standing on top of my line, not anymore thinking, can I do it, but just going there, like, and then doing the thing, and then like in the end of the run, then I know. Then I'm sort of totally free from everything.
You have any same routines or things you do before you drop in?
Well, the practicing thing, I was thinking about this like when we sat down here. Like, why do I practice? Like early winter I go and do these like really boring, like the same turn all over and over again, and I hate to be on the ski lift and then like do 20 runs in a evening. I still go to that same 75-meter slope to do that boring, like the basic turn, because that's the basis of everything in skiing. And when I'm on top of that run, what I want to ski, I know that I can like make the turn. I don't have to think about the turn anymore. I can just be focused on the surroundings and how the snow feels under my ski, and I don't have to think about the actual movement. It's just everything comes with the instinct and with the feel, and it's just it's just total freedom then, and that you're already in front of your, like, where you actually are. You're thinking about what's gonna come in front of you, and you don't have to think about the things you're doing at the moment. If you get what I
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
I totally understand that. Practicing the basics
Yeah.
gives you comfort, makes you comfortable
Yeah.
of writing down that you trust yourself.
Yeah, I trust that I can do the things the way I want to do.
Okay, in the backcountry and you climb up in the mountain, you're high up there, and the conditions can be harsh, right? And they can suddenly change.
Yeah.
How do you prepare yourself? Is there any way to prepare for that if the weather conditions change suddenly?
It depends on where you are, how far from civilization you are. Like if you're in somewhere near from, like, let's say you're in Lyngen Alps in Norway, you live pretty near where you're gonna ski, or you have a car somewhere down in the valley, and you just like 5-10 kilometers from the car. But if you are somewhere far away, like we were camping in a yurt in backcountry in Kyrgyzstan, where we were probably 50 kilometers away from the civilization, and the mountains were big, conditions were really tough. It was really avalanche danger that time. Maybe it's always that in that area, because it has these certain conditions which I wasn't sure of. Like I didn't know that. So you have to, when you go to the mountains, you have to think about where you are, how far you are, what you can do there, and how, if something happens, how you're going to manage with the evacuation or the rescue or that sort of thing. But the basics are your knowledge on the snow, like how well you know the snowpack and what the temperature, the changes in the temperature is going to do with the snowpack, and you know the skiers you're going to ski with. That's one thing that's really important, to know who you ski with, that you're at least somewhere on the same level.
Risks involved. Has there been any close calls?
I've been in an avalanche. It's probably something everyone's going to encounter eventually if they're going to ski off-piste. But well, experience, it helps. Like I I count my avalanches, and at the moment I'm winning. Like I've been inside a couple of avalanches and then escaped more than being caught in.
After getting caught in avalanche, how you get back? Is it a scary experience? How you get back up in the mountains?
First was really, really scary. It took me some time to mentally recover from the idea that not everything is gonna come down. Like I was in Finnish Lapland, and I was caught in a pretty big avalanche. Nothing really happened. I was just sitting on top of this snow layer, but it was maybe 1 kilometer long, 300 meters wide, and 1 meter deep snowpack that came down. But yeah, we hiked up the same route. Obviously there was no snow left. But then we had this free ride competition a bit more north in Lapland, and I thought that, well, everything's coming down, and it maybe took me a year to get over it, to build confidence again, to build back the things, and of course when you get caught in an avalanche, you really wanna improve your knowledge about the conditions, and maybe we were a bit foolish back then. It's maybe 15 years now, since I was in that avalanche. So I've been in a sort of, I've been taking some risks that I know that maybe this place can come down, but then again I know it can come down, so I have a sort of a backup plan where I'm gonna ski if it comes down. And
So you have had some injuries, you've been in avalanche, and you have to struggle with your mind to get back on track. You think you're able to use these methods that you used in your sport in everyday life and
yeah,
normal
I'm using
activities?
it. Yeah, it's funny that, well, I've been working as a mountain guide for 3-4 years now, and of course I use those skills there, and then in my everyday life with my girlfriend to calm her down. The funny thing was, we were driving in Italy. It was like a month ago, and it started raining, like, what do you call these white things that come down, these ice chunks?
Haze?
Yeah, haze. And it was like golf ball sized, and she was driving. She totally panicked, but yeah, what can you do? She was, what can I do? Well, there's nothing you can do except slow down and keep on your track, on your side of the road. Yeah, it was interesting. I've never had that, but yeah, I don't panic. Like, I always, because one thing is that I used to think, how am I gonna do I freeze when I set off an avalanche and see it going down, or am I able to do the rescue operation routine? The first time it happened, I was in court in an avalanche and took out my my avalanche receiver. It was just like, I didn't panic, and I was pretty happy about it. And I went to make the search routine. Didn't find anyone. I was just, when I released the avalanche, I was just watching the avalanche grow when it got lower and lower and further away from me. And well, I was just watching if there is someone, but there was few rollovers, but I watched it like stop, and then went down and made the search and rescue thing what you do. And then I was pretty happy about myself that, well, at this kind of situations I don't panic and freeze. So in everyday life I've seen the same thing happen, that I don't panic, even not now.
Okay, let's go 10 years from now. How do you see yourself? Still climbing up?
Well, if I'm fit, if I'm able to stay out of injuries, which is, you never know, because if the conditions are good, the riding's going to be fast, and every now and then you fall. Well, I haven't fell quite recently, but now that I mentioned that I want to do some new tricks, it's always interesting, because there you don't know always what's going to happen, but that's why I practice. It's a lot more easy just to ski or do these lines than do the tricks. Tricks are really like especially when you do these double flips and things, like with the twists.
You're mentioning word fast occasionally here.
Yeah.
What does fast mean to you?
Fast.
Is it important?
Yeah,
to ride fast?
yeah, it's really important. It's really, yeah, it's a basis for my skiing. Yeah, I could I could do a bit different type of skiing, not skiing that fast, and then try to find different type of lines. But yeah, the fast thing, it just makes me laugh.
Okay, it's been a blast. Thank you. But I have one more last question for you. It's a short question. What makes you happy?
Well, the thing I realized when we were doing these documentaries, I was away from home. Well, it was 6 months, like continuous trip each winter, and we were in Vancouver Island, and I realized that now I'm here, not somewhere else, like realizing that now is happening, not tomorrow.
Well, that's a good one. Hey, thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure.
Blumi. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, my pleasure.